Hello and welcome. Today's practice we're thinking about forward folding. So I know this can be very challenging for many of us, particularly first thing in the morning. It's not something that we necessarily explore the deepest asana, but it is something that's very useful for us to do in the mornings, even if it's just gentle moving through the spine as we've been doing through some of these practices. So bring yourself down onto your mat. Come to Sukhasana, any cross-legged that is comfortable for you. To forward fold, the focus is on our hips. So make sure you're rooting down in those sit bones, as always finding that lift through the crown of the head. Now we're just gently going to explore the hips. If you come into a particular cross-legged, let's just swap those legs around, seeing if you can widen the knees as much as possible. So that might mean coming onto a block, and that's absolutely fine. We're really seeing if we can encourage those knees down towards the mat. So just taking a few breaths here as we start, just to let everything settle. Bring ourselves into the practice by joining the breath with the body. Slowing down the mind, just not worrying about what we've got that lies ahead of us for the day. This is our preparation. So inhaling and exhaling fully, seeing if you can focus that breath on your hips. So maybe as you inhale, you're drawing breath in to any areas of tension, and using the exhale to release. And we're gently going to extend the right leg out, keeping that left leg nice and tucked in. So we're opening out the hips here, but keeping the sit bones rooted, and the pelvis is going to stay facing towards the front here. So first of all, taking the back of your right hand, place it on the inside of your right calf and open out the arms. So we're lengthening those arms away from each other. Look up towards your left hand. And as you do so, inhale and lengthen through the side waist. And as we exhale, we're going to slide that right arm down. Now it might not go very far, and that's absolutely fine. As you slide that right arm down, try to think of using it like a lever, so you're slightly pressing it against the inside of the right leg. So as you do so, you're opening out the shoulders and the chest, and we're feeling that left arm just gently open, and maybe there's a little bit more space. So inhale, lengthen. Exhale, maybe we can draw ourselves down a little bit closer. Keep working here. Doesn't matter if that movement is very tiny. Visualize that breath running up and down your spine, so that each breath you take, we're not collapsing, we're just creating more and more space. One more full breath. And use the exhale to slowly come back to center. Good. Let's swap onto the other side. So drawing in your right foot, we're going to extend out the left leg now. So take time just to ensure that pelvis is central. We want to tuck the right heel as close as you can to the into your core here. And again, set yourself up so the outside of your left arm is just gently grazing the inside of your left leg. And we'll square off by reaching the right arm away. So already we're feeling real expansiveness in the back, openness in the shoulders. As you exhale, start to allow that left hand to draw down the inside of the left leg. But we're going to keep the back open, keep the shoulders open. So as best you can, the shoulders and the pelvis are still facing the front or towards the screen. Keep looking up to that right hand. Inhale, remember your lever, so you're pressing gently against the inside of your left leg to allow that right shoulder to open out. Use your exhale to slide down. So keep breathing and working here. you'll find a point where you might feel as if you're collapsing in that left side waist, and that's a sign that we really need to ease off slightly. Think about length rather than depth here. One more full breath, using the exhale of that breath to come back up to seated. And then we're going to draw both feet in, placing the soles of the feet together in Baddha Konasana. So a tricky pose sometimes to do first thing in the morning. I do appreciate that. If you like to raise the hips here, then by all means bring yourself onto a block. So starting in our Baddha Konasana, to bring the outside edges of the feet together. Wherever you like to hold, whether it's the feet or the ankles, that's absolutely fine. The important thing is lifting through the spine, and as you exhale, feeling a softness in the pelvis, softness in the hips. Can we start to release those knees down? So think of this as a dynamic pose. We're inhaling, opening, exhaling, maybe moving into that. So you may be working on lifting that crown of the head. You may be working against the wall, particularly good in the morning. And we can have a really effective cobbler pose by working against the wall, because you know that your spine will be lovely and straight. So as you work here, perhaps you need to move. Perhaps we can draw those heels a little bit closer in towards the sacrum. Perhaps you're noticing that you're able to come forwards. Maybe there's contact with the elbows and the calves of the legs, obviously calves and legs. So wherever you are, just work, breathing, seeing if we can release the hips. Doesn't need to be the full expression of your pose here. We're just opening out, breathing, finding space, softness in the back. Now come back up to center. Uttanasana Konasana. Let's take the legs wide. So now both legs are wide. You've got two options. You can point your toes, or you can have your feet coming towards the face. Don't flex the feet. Whatever is most comfortable for you. So today I'm going to take the slightly softer option, which is by pointing the toes, but you make your own choices. Come onto those sit bones, come forwards on your sit bones, as if you're tilting your pelvis slightly forwards. So you don't want to feel there's any rocking back. You might even want to lift your bottom, bring yourself forwards. And this is a really good way to start your wide leg forward fold. So find length through the spine. Send the backs of the knees down towards the mat so that we're engaging in the glutes. Lengthen, lengthen, bring the hands forwards, and that might be more than enough. So your eye gaze kind of wants to be a little bit down rather than forwards if you can. We want looking to smooth out the creases in the back of the neck. Maybe there's a tiny bend in the elbows. So if there is, we can start to draw that chest forwards. So think about drawing it forwards rather than down. So blocks are really good here. If you want to pop your forearms or your hands on a block, this can help just to give us the support we need to allow that body to come down. So just work to your edge, work to a point where you can feel that lovely stretch all the way through the back of the legs, but you've got no pain or tension in the spine. Keep sending the sit bones back. So you're feeling like the chest is coming forwards as you're engaging your glutes. So you're really working hard in the legs. Breathe easily here. Don't grip too hard. Try to create a little softness, and that will give you space to move. So there should be a little bit of space always to move. Let's do 2 more full breaths here. Before slowly coming back up to centre. Place your hands underneath your knees is always a nice way to come out. We're going to sit with the feet on the mat and take ourselves into a 90-90. So one knee, both knees are bent in the same direction basically. So this is a really good position for us to be working. It's a bit like a very modified swan pose. So it's a really good position for the hips to be working. So squaring off your shoulders and your hips to start with. Take an inhale, lift the crown of the head, and then we're going to turn towards the left knee so that your feet are both facing away from you. So your pelvis is now turned, as your shoulders are turning away from your pelvis. Inhale and lengthen, and exhale, start to come down. So if you can, you want to keep the sit bones on the mat. Now by coming forwards, this right sit bone might pop up, as mine just has, and that's absolutely fine. But just modify. So it might mean that your twist isn't so far, or it might mean that actually today we're just bending a small amount forwards. So we're really not looking to lift that right sit bone much off the mat at all. So breathing just a couple of breaths here. Gentle twist to the spine, but allowing those hips a nice release. Inhale, come back to center. Let's lift the legs and we'll work on the other side. So start with them in center, send them both in the same direction. Find your center, so rooting down this time in the left sit bone, that one's going to want to pop up. And then as we turn towards the right, just exploring how this feels to come down. So one side may be more accessible than the other. This one is for me, but you may feel differently. But focus on that left sit bone. So the rear sit bone is the one that we're really looking to send back and down. 2 breaths. Coming back up to center. And then we're going to swing the legs around. So we come in to our forward fold. We're going to do this a little bit wider. So take your heels as wide as your yoga mat. Inhale, lift the crown of the head. You don't need to flex your feet. You can have them relaxed today. Take the arms forward. So we're coming into our forward fold, but a little bit modified. Lengthen through the spine, and as we exhale, coming forwards. So you're coming into that gap, whereas normally we're looking to take the chest over and in line with the knees, but this time we've got a little bit of space. So it's in between your wide leg forward fold and your Paschimottanasana, your standard seated forward fold. So again, those sit bones are really helping to root down and help you feel grounded as we move into the space that we're creating with our breath. Now this is a really nice way if you want to extend the practice. If you have a bolster or something you just want to lie over, this is a really nice way. You can go and grab that now and place it in front of you, place the forehead down and simply stay for a little bit longer here. It's a good way to prepare the body for what lies ahead. If you're having to sit down for long periods during the day, or even if you're having to do some activity, it's just a good, nice warm up for the body. And then when you are ready to move, we will take ourselves around and back into that nice Sukhasana, where we're looking for the knees to come as close down as we can to really release the hips. Maybe you're noticing a little bit of difference now in those hips just after a short practice. Close down the eyes, let that chin drop slightly. Take a breath in to find space and move into that space. Allow your body to settle. Allow your mind to remain alert and prepared. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much for practicing with me once again. Namaste.